again!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost with me, Rupha Ramani. Let's get the show started. On the show today, Jasprit Bumrah has been ruled out of the ICC Champions Trophy. The Indian cricketer will miss the entire campaign. BCCI confirmed this late last night. Harshit Rana comes in his place. Who is to blame for this turn of events? Meanwhile, Vinicius Jr. received a rude welcome when Real Madrid took on Manchester City yesterday. A massive banner greeted him, calling him a crybaby. Is Vinicius being cornered, and who is responsible for this growing sentiment of hostility towards the Brazilian superstar? And the NFL has raked in millions. It's been a staggering edition, going by the earnings and the profits, making them the most lucrative league, beating IPL, the Indian Premier League, handsomely. Where and how do all the monies go? I'll tell you more on that in the show coming up, but first a look at the headlines on Sports 360. Starting with cricket, Australia has suffered a major blow after their star pacer Mitchell Starc pulled out of the ICC Champions Trophy starting this month, and he cited personal reasons. Along with Starc, Australian captain Pat Cummins and pacer Josh Hazlewood too will miss the ICC event in Pakistan and the UAE. Batter Steve Smith will lead Australia. In women's cricket, Bangladeshi spinner Sohaili Akhtar has been banned for 5 years by the ICC after she offered a fellow teammate over $16,000 to get dismissed during the ICC Women's T20 World Cup match in 2023. The 36-year-old admitted to 5 breaches of the anti-corruption code. In football, German club Borussia Dortmund beat Sporting 3-0 in the Champions League after a goalless first half. Dortmund ran riot in the second. 3 goals in 22 minutes secured a convincing win for the German side. In tennis, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka suffered a shocking defeat in the second round of the Qatar Open. Ekaterina Alexandrova beat Sabalenka 3-6, 6-3, 7-6. In another match, world number 3 Coco Gauff crashed out of the second round. This after the US star was beaten by Marta Kostyuk in straight sets. And in developments from the Luis Rubiales trial, the former Spanish Football Federation president claims the footballer, Jenny Hermoso, gave him consent to kiss her after the World Cup final in 2023. Hermoso, though, continues to claim the kiss was not consensual. There were rumors, there were murmurs, there were doubts, but now it's all been confirmed. India will miss the services of their best bowler when they travel to the UAE for the ICC Champions Trophy next week. Jasprit Bumrah has been ruled out of the entire tournament. The BCCI late last night included Harshit Rana instead, replacing Bumrah in the squad, making a million hearts sink. Because that's what Bumrah's absence means. Plus, he had a phenomenal last year in international cricket, was named ICC Test Cricketer of the Year. ICC Cricketer of the Year helped India win the T20 World Cup, was instrumental in India's fight against Australia in the Border-Gavaskar series. His numbers are staggering. His comeback has been incredible. Post a career-threatening injury, and he seemed like he would never look back. Until now. The most critical contribution, of course, though, has been that of a leader in the ranks, especially while other senior cricketers received severe backlash. He led India to a test win, their lone win in the series against Australia, and he has been a leader of the bowling unit, someone youngsters have looked up to. So this is a major setback to the Indian side as they look to pocket the ICC Champions Trophy a third time. So what are we hearing? Bumrah was given time off to recover, a few weeks to rehabilitate, get that time off to unwind from what has been a hectic season of non-stop cricket, as is the case with the Indian calendar. We saw him spend time with his family, he was in good spirit, and fans were hoping for the best, hoping that he will feature in some matches come the Champions Trophy at least. Because India without Bumrah would indeed be toothless. But then, of course, came a bit of a tiff, a report in a daily that got a response from Bumrah. Clearly, that was Bumrah's way of saying he knew best and he knew what he was being advised. And he proved a point by being seen, in fact, even attended a packed starry night of a concert in his own hometown to make a statement. Bumrah did not need bed rest. Then, of course, started his time at the NCA in Bengaluru, and many were still keeping their fingers crossed. The BCCI put up an iron padlock on all the proceedings. They wanted no information to leak out anywhere, did not want any media saying or printing anything regarding this recovery. It was a complete shutdown. And understandably so, that episode with Bumrah himself reacting to an article, obviously being the starting point of this messaging. Whatever information comes out would come through the official corridors when the BCCI would be intimated firsthand what the situation with Bumrah truly was. And that's what happened last night, with India finalizing its Champions Trophy squad minus Bumrah, the inexperienced Rana making the cut. So what really happened over the last few days? Was it absolutely a no-go for Bumrah by the NCA? Not quite. The scans do not really reveal anything untoward, but Bumrah was still not match ready. The go-ahead would mean that he would directly get into match mode straight away at a Champions Trophy game. So what does the collective decision of the selection committee, the BCCI and the NCA really reflect? Why this call to not even include him in the squad? It's simple. They did not want another Mohammad Shami situation on their hands. Here's what I mean. There was an assurance given that Shami would play the Border Gavaskar series that began last year, that he would be fit in time for the Test series, that he would be pairing up with Bumrah come the series. None of that really happened. What we witnessed was a visibly upset Rohit Sharma, who couldn't really put his plans in place with the uncertainty that was continuing to hang around Shami's presence. That's the situation India has evaded and avoided here. If Bumrah was not match fit, there was no way they would sacrifice him and a potential pacer by just carrying him in the squad to ultimately not play a single game and say they do take him on board, put him into a key game and something goes amiss. Who would be blamed then? Certainly not the pacer. That's why this decision to rather preserve than reserve. Make sure Bumrah gets back soon than face yet another setback, which would only show the BCCI in poor light. But this situation does throw a spanner in the works for India for their campaign in the Champions Trophy, an ICC event, and one more that Bumrah will be giving a miss to. The question is, have India finally learned their lesson when it comes to fast bowlers and preserving the best for the long haul? Manchester City and Real Madrid played out another classic in the Champions League yesterday after a stoppage time goal from Jude Bellingham. Madrid won the game with a 3-2 scoreline, but once again at the center of attention was the controversy's favorite child, of late at least, Brazilian Vinicius Jr. Yes, he was the player of the match after his important assist to Jude Bellingham in injury time. But the biggest talking point from the game was not Vinicius' comeback or how he starred in a win finally. Manchester City supporters openly took a dig at Vinicius, mocking him for losing out on the Ballon d'Or trophy. City fans unfurled a huge banner which said, "Stop crying your heart out," with a picture of Rodri kissing the Ballon d'Or. City fans called Vinicius a crybaby for the way he reacted to the Ballon d'Or verdict. The size of that banner was so huge it was hard to miss, especially given the placement. It was held up right behind one of the goalposts, which is why when Madrid won the game and Vinicius was awarded the player of the match, he took a jibe at the city supporters over their gesture.
I saw, but when opposition fans do things, it always gives me more strength to play a great game, and here I did. Know our history and everything we have done in this competition.
Classic Vinicius move, always feeling the need to retort. But the incident at Etihad points to a growing anti-Vinicius sentiment that seems to only be gaining in momentum, especially with the Ballon d'Or controversy stretching for longer than it ideally should have. It has been close to 4 months since that, and the war of words have just refused to die down. And what doesn't help Vinicius is his attitude on the pitch. Now, he may be an exceptional footballer, and trophies back him. He's been a 3-time league champion in Spain, has won 2 Champions League titles, 2 Club World Cups, and was awarded FIFA's Best Men's Player Award. And he was crucial in all of these campaigns, leading Madrid from the front. But these performances have come with their own share of attitude issues. The most recent being the ugly fallout with his own Madrid teammates. In the last 10 days, he was first involved in a verbal battle with Dani Ceballos in the game against Espanyol, then against Leganes, where Modric questioned his lack of intent. And of course, these developments aren't recent. The lack of respect Vinicius has shown towards his opponents is hard to miss. Last year, during a Champions League fixture between Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, Vinicius taunted his opponent, Joshua Kimmich, when the ball was out of play. It's not an isolated episode, this. Vinicius has often been slammed for celebrating his goals in his opponent's faces, and his temper when a refereeing decision goes against him has come under the radar too. Because these antics form a certain perception, a perception that you may be great at your game, but your attitude needs some serious cleansing, making Vinicius the perfect target of fans everywhere he goes. And fans have been brutal. We've seen that.
If you're not a fan of Vinicius Jr., often the conversation is not about the racist abuse, but whether he provokes it or not. Football is so visceral that it brings out the most primitive in people, so it keeps happening.
Now look, there's no justification for racism in any sport, and Vinicius' fight against racism reflects how much the football world needs to reform, to change. But what this also shows is the kind of resentment fans seem to have for Vinicius. His actions and gestures have cornered him in the football world, particularly in Spain, because that last taunt, a bold statement from a larger group of fans, was not racist. That was a solid attack on Vinicius and his attitude. And what the irony here is, Vinicius has often advocated the belief that he is here just to play football.
I need to focus a lot every day. I just want to play soccer, do everything for my club and for my family.
So if the footballer is here to play football alone, how does he justify his run-ins? Yes, it's still understandable that he wants to prove that he belongs here and show that level of aggression on the football field. But is getting carried away the answer? Now, sports thrives on emotions. The aggression, the rush, the competitiveness is what defines it. But at what cost? Can you keep your cool when everything seems to be going against you? Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic are legends. Yet one is more widely loved and respected despite winning fewer slams. A lesson that performances and glory can get you so far, but what imprint you leave in the field of play as a person takes you a whole lot distance. And unfortunately, that seems to be where Vinicius is faltering, which raises the question, has Vinicius become a marked man because of his attitude, his on-field antics, or is it still prejudice? Super Bowl Sunday marked another episode in the history and legacy of the season finale. An event that once again lived up to all the hype surrounding it. The clash between Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs brought celebrities under one roof, and the rest who couldn't attend in New Orleans were glued to their television sets. But the Eagles' win wasn't just a crowd puller or a TRP booster. Super Bowl set some new records in the finance world too. The numbers of the windfall are staggering, from revenue, ad rates to even broadcast rights. The money influx was astounding. But the question is, who all struck it rich? Our next report tells you more.
The 59th edition of the Super Bowl concluded with the Philadelphia Eagles denying the Kansas City Chiefs a historic three-peat. And while the victory was rather one-sided in Eagles' favor, the season finale lived up to the buzz surrounding it. The reason for that is simple. The game was much more than just what happened on the field. A Hollywood drama with a team denied history, a US president gracing the event for the first time, a pop icon booed only to make a priceless comeback, and a political statement during halftime. Enough entertainment for the 128 million viewers who tuned into the finale, the largest audience in US television history for a single network telecast, in this case the Fox Group. This surpassed the previous best of Super Bowl 2024, making the 59th edition of the event part of an elusive list which is already dominated by Super Bowls, clearly proving the impact of that one-day event on US broadcast. And given the popularity surrounding the game, the consumer market too wanted to get a share of the pie, a reason why advertisers paid as much as $8 million for a 30-second slot of commercial time during the game.
What's really special about Super Bowl ads is it doesn't just end with the 30 seconds.
People are talking about them.
If you're a new brand or you're a known brand that's releasing a new product, it's a really great moment for buzz.
And it's not just the buzz that major brands are after. Given the retention fans have from Super Bowl ads, it's jackpot for any advertisement in the American consumer market. Something even Major League Soccer, America's Football League, jumped in on. The Super Bowl buzz doesn't just help the consumer market. Every industry associated with the event strikes it big, like the gambling industry. In the US's biggest gambling state, Nevada, fans reportedly placed bets of around $152 million. Betting houses earned a profit of $22 million. That's 14.6% of the earnings. It is factors like these that make the NFL the richest league in the world, even surpassing the likes of football leagues such as the English Premier League and cricket's premier tournament, the Indian Premier League. So the question is, if the league is so profitable, where does all this money go? Well, the first big earner from this sport are the winners and the runners-up for the Super Bowl. Every member from the team gets a whopping $171,000. The runners-up too get $96,000 each, and this is excluding their other bonuses. It's not just the players who benefit from the Super Bowl and NFL's earnings. The league has its way of giving back to the community in various ways. From foundations to grants and development systems, the NFL has its own system of making the sport popular. For years now, the Super Bowl has its own way of helping the host city support young athletes. The sport has often been a medium for people of color to find their feet. And ironically, the Agility Grant promotes programs that help with gambling addiction, an industry that thrives from Super Bowl events. Clearly, there is something for everybody when it comes to the Super Bowl. Every industry reaps the benefits of this extravaganza. It's like everything that Super Bowl touches turns to gold.
Time for Last Serve. We bring you visuals from the Freeride World Tour in Canada. Watch the ski and snowboard winners put on a show in the gorgeous mountains, from high-speed exits to even a double drop. Take a look.
One, drop it. Drop it.
that, it's a wrap here on First Sports. Of course, do tune in again tomorrow with more fresh perspectives from the world of sports. Till then, take care. Bye-bye. We're calling the show Vantage. We hope you like what we've put together for you. Touted as the minimum two-way defense from that video. India's neighbours were the first to send the special edition of Vantage live from the White House throughout the week. Yes, Hindu Mandir in we're on our way to Tel Aviv. City measure, but it's also the perfect way to drive.
I don't think that
Prime Minister of Bhutan, Sherin Tagwe. Welcome to
60% of the world's
office. Prime Minister Modi did the iron.
we were actually
How are you doing? How do you like? It's been 1 year since that meeting. Iron bars separate you from the outside. Out the vote effort. Trump had, it says, and at $4.3 trillion. 4.3 300 billion by 2030. That's what we need to tackle climate change.